4 then is still a similar figure, which means we know it's proportional. Your first step is always to figure out which sides are corresponding. So someone different, raise your hand and tell me which sides do I know that are corresponding to each other on 4, and how do you know? Raylyn. A, D, and EH. How do you know that those are corresponding, Raylyn? You're right.
Because they are the biggest.
Yes, they are the longest ones. So even if this shape were tipped upside down, it would still be EH because they're the longest. What other two sides correspond to each other? Caden. AB and EF. Perfect. Now, we know those two correspond. Why? Why do those two correspond to each other? Caden? Good, they're medium size and they have the shortest one and the longest one connected to them. Perfect. Now, how do I go about solving for the missing side length? Cooper. Ooh, I can go, how do I go from 7 to 21? I'm going to do what? 7 times what number gives me this one? Or 7 times which one gets me 21, Cooper? Good. And so if I multiply 1 by 3, what do I have to do with the other one? Do the same thing. And so I get 30, what's my label? 30 centimeters. I love that Cooper looked there first. What if, though, I don't notice that? How else do I go about solving this one if I don't know? Gracie? You could do 7 over 21. Gracie likes to put the small one over the big one, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Do you have to do it Gracie's way? No, but you do have to be consistent. Where then does the 10 go? Someone raise your hand and tell me. Rachel.
Small.
So top or bottom?
Top.
Top. Can I give you a helpful hint? I almost never cross multiply with really big numbers like that. I noticed that 7 over 21 can be reduced to 1/3, right? Can I go from 1 to 10 really fast?
Yes.
Times 10, 3 times 10 is 30. So there's like 3 ways to do each one of these problems today. As long as you show me your math, I'm okay with that. What's going to happen next is I'm going to do one more with anybody who wants to listen. If you want to just work on your own because this makes sense to you, you're going to do odds on this side. You're going to do all of the other side. You will need a ruler, so please make sure you get it out. On the back side, look at number 2, because I've had a question about number 2. What does the word dimensions mean? Find the actual dimensions of the Baroque art room. Dimensions means what, Eric?
Does that mean like including like
Sit down.
everything?
Nope. Nate? Length and the good. And so for number 2, you should write length and the width so that when you get there, you know what to look for. So if you're a person who's not writing on your paper right now what that means, you should, because dimensions means the length and the width.
So what we do is like technically try to find like the outside.
Yes, and this is a scale drawing, and scale means what? Scale means that it is proportional. Awesome. I want to do number 6 with you. If you want to work on your own, you may, but you may not wander around the room and you may not talk. Okay? Eric?
Can we go ahead and grab the ruler?
No, because you can do the other part first. Okay? So, for number 6, what sides do I know that are corresponding? Someone who's not volunteered yet today. So that's not
Why can't we do
you.
this part first? 'Cause this part looks more hard.
Okay, so don't measure right now. How do I do 6?
You.
Someone tell me which 2 sides are corresponding to each other and how you know. That's why we're doing it together. Yes? Raylyn?
Aren't all of them corresponding to you guys?
They are so not. I'm so glad you said that. She said, aren't all of them corresponding?
Oh, no, look at them.
They're not, because it's 15 and 12, right?
Should be EF to be.
Good. EF and BC match each other.
Wait, I know how to solve this.
Okay? What other two ones correspond with each other, Gracie?
F, T, and CD.
That's right. Now, can we easily go from 15 to 20? Because we have to go from what we know to what we don't know.
Yeah.
Rach?
Add 5.
Can you ever, I'm so glad you said that. Can we ever add when we're talking about equivalent fractions? No, I'm so glad she said that. You can never, ever, ever add or subtract. You always have to multiply or divide or your fractions will not be equivalent.
You said the end.
So, what am I going to do?
Divide. By 5.
What am I going to do?
I tried.
What am I going to do, Cammie? If they're similar, I have to make them proportional. Absolutely. So please don't just make a guess at what we're doing. If they're similar, they're proportional. And we can solve proportions like nobody's business. I'm doing that on purpose. This is a fast, easy way. So tell me what goes on the top and what goes on the bottom. So I've not chatted with yet today, Alexis or Dylan or DeAndre or Leo. Someone tell me what I put on the top or on the bottom. What do you got, DeAndre? Now, I don't put 20 over x because they're the same shape. Have you noticed that we're always putting small on top of big? Or you could do big on top of small, but they have to be two of the different shapes. I'm really glad you said that. That's a really common mistake. So what am I going to do? I am asking DeAndre. DeAndre, what two that I know that correspond to each other? 20 and 15. So he likes to do it differently than Gracie. He put the big one on top of the small one. Is that okay?
Yeah.
For sure. Where does the 12 go then? Does it go on the top or on the bottom? And how do you know? Someone I've not chatted with yet today. Dylan or Leo or, I know I so talk to you. Or Ryan or Alexis. Where do I put the 12 then? Ryan thinks he knows. Is the 12 the big shape or the small shape? So where does it go?
I did it the other
On the bottom, why? Because it's on the small shape.
I put small.
And then the X, which is on the big shape, goes here.
I put small. And then
Question, Cindy?
when do we just pick when we pick a variable? Is it just a random letter? Or
Nope, because they put X on our shape, we're always going to put X. If they don't give us one, you can pick a random one. But if they give you one, you should use the one they give you.
then why did we put B if it said X?
Because that's big
Okay.
and small. Because I was talking about kind of how we started last week with labels. I was just saying we're going to do the big shape to the small shape. Cammie, what's your question?
Small to big.
That's okay. Now, thank you. Cammie, I love that. I noticed that 20 over 15, I can reduce that to what fraction? 4 over 3. Can I easily go from 3 to 12 now?
Totally.
Times 4, and if I multiply the bottom by 4, I have to multiply the top by 4, so my answer is going to be 16 inches. If you don't have labels, it's not right. So I love that we are starting to mental math some things. I actually cross-reduce last, always. I try to say, can I reduce it? Can I do it in my head first? If not, when I set up the proportion, can I reduce it and make easy numbers? If everything's decimals and messy, then I cross-multiply. What questions do you have?
We only have 2 more to do on this.
I know. And so,
What do you want?